Welcome to in today's video. I'm going to be playing City Skylines, and in today's video, I want to be doing a speed build. And in today's video, we're going to be working on a nature reserve, and then we're going to be doing a base game oil area to complete off our oil area, which because there's no industry demand, even after what we do later in the episode, which I'll talk about a bit more in a minute. There is absolutely no industry demand. Not even offices are spawning. I don't know what I've done, but it's probably just going to require us to do a bit of placing down a lot of commercial. That's what I'm assuming. But like I said, everything will just start to fill in as we get more commercial down and get more stuff down, and everything will end up working out in the end, and everything will, well, get filled up, and then it will complete the look. But right now, there's literally nothing in it, even at the end of this recording, and even after running the game for a bit. There's literally nothing. But so, with this nature reserve, we're building it around this little tiny castle type thing structure that was sworn naturally worth the map. But we're doing the nature reserve, that little oil area, which is kind of just me building like 4 different roads. It's really like nothing. And then we're also going to be expanding onto our city, and we're finally going to be adding in some high rises. And now that I think about it, we should probably get rid of the offices as high-rise, because those are absolutely huge. But, hear me out, it could work, but I'm probably going to change those districts to where they're in the high-rise band zone. But, so we finally have some high-rises in our city. And it's not high-rise band buildings that are level 4, high density. They can be level 5, which we, at the end of this episode, after letting the game run a bit, we do end up getting some level 5 residential areas, and I mean, by the end, most of our stuff is either level 4 or 5. There's only a very few tiny buildings. When I mean tiny buildings, like 1 or 2 tiles wide or long, and they were level 3. So, I mean, this area, I would say, is a success, and it's brought in a whole ton of people. I think by the end of this episode, we're at like 40k. Or wait, now we got up to 38,000, I believe, a little bit after this episode. So basically, after doing this little bit of AFKing in the game, I get this city up to like 40k. And so that, I would say, is a pretty good thing, especially since there's this small area that we made high rises. The rest was high-rise band areas, which we put in a new district for that, which that's probably going to be most of our, right near our huge industry zone where our whole generic goods will be made in all of our trains are. So basically from there, all the way, and that's like the center part, I would say, all the way to where we have our current last mini city build. And then, that's why I haven't put in yet, but at the end, but in like a new episode, when I mean new episode, probably like the next, or maybe the episode after that, I want to definitely be putting that in. I'll put that part of the same district as I have the high-rise band for this new area. And then I'm going to be shoving that. And that's going to be basically going all the way around the path, basically. Just ending right at the train station. And then we're probably going to stop that right there. Or maybe even head down to the viaduct. I don't know. And then we can finally get rid of all of those service buildings. They're just keeping those buildings there that I have placed in. And then, well, that will solve the annoying pop-ups that are happening with that, but that's kind of just its own thing. But with that, we have obviously more population, and with that comes more stuff, which I did expand our tram routes, but now that I'm thinking about it, we should actually probably just stuck with 2 train routes for that whole entire area, all the way up to the train station. Then we could have swapped it out to another one, or we could stop using tram routes entirely. But now that I think about it, we should have probably done that, but I can always swap it off camera or in a later episode. But I probably will end up doing that off camera because I don't think you guys want to sit through that again, even though it wouldn't take long. It's just putting in a few stops and then also deleting 2 lines. But now that I finally finished like putting in most of the path, or most of the basic pathing, I now would just need to decorate it up a bit and then add in the different buildings for this nature reserve. So with this nature reserve, I'm not using it as necessarily intended to where you're meant to welcome nature into your life. I'm gonna be using it as more so like a trying to remember what that is. Fort Williamsburg, I believe it's called. It's a military base in Virginia. But it's basically, I believe, from the Civil War inside the U.S. That's probably what I'm gonna compare it to the most. Oh, this is a bit more medieval, like European, early 17, maybe late 1600s. Cat fortress on top of a hill with walls around it. And then there's also the cemetery here with some trees over on the other side. But that's kind of what it is. And it's gonna be like that, where it's also gonna gravel paths that you can walk around on. So it isn't as populated as what I had said earlier as Williamsburg, because well, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And like I said, we're probably going to expand on that like town that I have in here for a little town, but that's probably not going to be for a little while. But this will just slowly gain this, and then it will eventually, because it has enough attractiveness by the end. But right now I'm just placing in signs, and basically these signs are right now I'm placing in like direction signs. So like if you want to go to a certain wall or what, and I just place down a character just to make sure the signs are the right way. They weren't, which meant that I had to delete them all and then replace them. But that's fine. But basically these are like the direction signs for like which way you want to go. It's like if you want to go right, you can go to say the main fortress, or if you want to go left, you can go to the cemetery. Like that type of directory, or like right here where the secondary entrance meets into everything. It's right or left. So it could be saying if you go left, you can go to the main fortress, like I said, and or if you go right, you can go down the lower path to go along the river to see the walls. And well, I mean, let's be honest, that river would have been a pretty strategical spot, which is a pretty nice spot for a fortress, especially for medieval times. But with that I'm now placing in like description signs, like if you've ever been to like a nature reserve, like a place that's like iconic or something that was like historic, you'll like see signs for that's like saying what different things were. Like if say there was like a little castle up top of the hill or like a fortress, you will get like a sign for say like what it was about, what it's called, everything about it. So, and then I'm placing that just around like different landmarks, like the all of the walls, or even at the different pillars. And then I also placed one near the cemetery, the trees, and then also right up where the main fortress is. And now I'm just placing a path up to these like rock face, just to add a little bit more uniqueness to it, because this is a nature reserve, and if we want to ever progress in it, we will need some campgrounds. Which I do end up placing in after I place down this path, which I did say earlier we did finish out the paths. I kind of lied in that we do build this in, but I mean, this isn't that major of a path. It's kind of just a path that goes off for people that are staying here overnight with. That's right, we did put in, since I completely forgot about that. So this is where a whole lot of different tents and stuff is, because, well, this is like the campgrounds area. Because, well, it's right next to rocks, you get a bit of privacy. Also, it's off the trail, so you wouldn't be really getting people stumbling upon you, or you wouldn't be getting a whole lot of foot traffic. So it just makes sense to have it here. And so, well, I mean, in the end, it does make sense. And then I'm just placing down my classic little settlement with one of the campfires, or well, with the open campfire, or the gazebo one, but mostly the open campfire used with 2 or 3 tents all around it. And well, then I also do place down some lawn tents, but it's mainly just campfires with tents throughout this whole entirely little off the trail thing. And I do delete these tents because, well, they kind of make it look like that they're on a concrete setup, which the one was. So well, I don't think you exactly want that in nature, considering that it's and to keep you in nature and not really modify anything unless you physically have to, especially since it's a tent. What kind of tent is on a concrete slab? I mean, you saw it better there. But what tent is on a concrete slab, honestly? But, now I just need to add in the Gollywood water parks, and then as people use this, more people will come in, and then it'll level up even more than it is, even though it's still 1 star, but as more people come in, we'll get even more. Well, mostly it's people from the community coming in, but they're oil towns, but it's fine. I mean, it's $10 to enter, which for most places, that's honestly cheap for getting into like forts or like historic sites, like Williamsburg. I know it costs quite a bit to get tickets into there, which $10 is not a lot, especially considering that you can have stay overnight if you want in the tens. And so, I mean, that's a pretty good price. And now we're just moving on to the generic oil zone, which is basically just me using the vanilla stuff. Sadly, I wasn't able to do this in the oil industry video. Well, because we kind of just ran out of time, and we also ran out of space, and the industry DLC oil stuff kind of takes priority over this. Dang it. And then, well, that fact stretch for getting hit must not sound good. But, well, with me not having this in, it kind of decided in the secondary, and then I just need to put district over, and then I added the oil specialization. And then I did items, looking at the modern Japanese DLCs, see if there was any, like, small, like, office buildings, and then I eventually just decided on seeing some offices with a high-rise band here, which, I mean, that did work. Just need to throw on the high-rise band to the district, which I did do right here, but then I did cut it out, because I don't think you guys want to see me try and find a high-rise band for a bit. But so, I did film this, and after that, and then, well, with this, I did need to do some terraforming, since it didn't look horrendous with that. But, really with after terraforming, honestly, it looked pretty good. Of course, we don't know because no buildings are in there, and now I'm just putting in the policies for the parts. But sounds you really gotta fix that to where it like breaks the menu whenever you try to put on a policy in parts. Or even like in any like zoned area like that, you really have to fix it because it can absolutely break some people's games. I mean, while it's easily fixable by literally just placing on the zone opening again, which is what I did there. If you are having that problem, you can literally just do that. It's still annoying, and you really gotta fix it, Paradox. And whoever is the people who develops these skylines, I know Colossal Order and Paradox made it, but I don't know who exactly Dev Studio. I should probably know that, considering this is my main game, rather than COD. But, whatever. But so now, we get to move on to the Jolly Old City. And then with the city comes great stuff, and our new population increase. But, trust me, this year is coming up is going to be gladly welcome once you realize why I put it in. So I was attempting to do this. Put the road right under the highway. But because the angle wasn't wide enough, it kind of just ended up being awkward and discombobulated to where the supporter would basically just be sitting on the road, in the middle of the road. So basically then I just had to do a straight road going right along the highway, which it's fine. I can just do a straight road going through the highway. It's really fine, but it's at the same time, it's kind of annoying, but it works, and, well, doesn't really matter, but, with the highway comes all sorts of stuff, but with that, we can now place in a new thing, which I honestly don't know why I expanded that, even though I literally just went back to delete it. Well, I was trying to do that under the highway for, like, solid, like, 5 minutes. 10 minutes without double speed, but like 5 minutes with the 2x speed and the time lapse. And like, I don't think you guys wanted to see me not even put anything in there after spending like 5 minutes on it, but that's why Echo was in there. And well, I mean, I feel that that's pretty reasonable considering that I don't think you want to go through that boredom. Trust me, it was quite boring. Watching that through. Honestly, I do not wish that on many people. And I'll keyword many people because it was bearable. I mean, I watched the whole entire thing, but I just cut it out because, well, yeah. Well, that's my rant on me cutting out something. But and we're just placing in some unique buildings this way. This place will be more unique and can have a higher entertainment value, which will increase the land value. So the average land value is pretty high at 58 cell, I believe, is the currency. Don't ask me how I got that, but we're just going to say dollars because there's a USD symbol in the bottom. So it's an average of 58 USD per that, and that's with all of our industry areas. Of course, the industry area, I believe, has now recovered from the pollutioning of all of the industry, but it's still absolutely booming with trucks coming constantly, because that's where you can export everything. But that's sad, the point. But now with this, I'm now just adding in design, which where I put offices, and then to go to residential, I just put some retail in between the offices and the residential as like a buffer, because trucks and all. And then in between the retail and the retail, I just went right in between the residential and the offices. And now it's just time to place in the residential. You may be wondering why I'm leaving the space in between. That's just to help me visualize and see where, when I was playing this out, on where I want the high-rise zone to be and the high-rise van zone to be. So this way it would look really nice and realistic. Which it does look really nice in the very end, but you do gotta stick around for that final product. Of course, you don't really get to see the final product in this episode. In the thumbnail you do, but that doesn't really happen in this episode because that was after a while of me kind of just sitting around, floating around the world, and, well, just kind of sitting there and letting the game run while listening to whatever I could on YouTube. But, now I'm just trying to fit in a whole ton of more unique buildings, which I did put in the business pyramid thing. That is always useful, and I felt that it would match the area, especially since right there I was putting in a whole ton of businesses, and well, that is pretty useful for, well, businesses, and that it kind of just symbolizes the art of, well, businesses. Keyword business. And well, if you were to look at this now, you would see just a gap in between where I have the commercial and the original offices, because none of the offices moved in there. There's just no need for industry. Honestly insane. Well, it's because all of it just disappeared, and for some reason the need suddenly just disappeared for it. Don't ask me how. And then it's just gonna constantly be down until we run out of space for it. But probably as we start planning in the city, we really will not run out of space for it. But honestly, in one of these recent episodes, I think we should probably start working on the airport, which do give me some ideas in the comments down below on airports that I could look at for references for it. Right now, I'm kind of looking at a mixture between the SeaTac Airport, which is the city of Seattle's airport, which is in Washington, and the Newark Airport, which is inside of the state of New Jersey, where I live, which I reference that fairly often when I've talked about the airport. But I'm saying like the actual like airport terminals and stuff, reference that after the Trenton Airport, or well, Newark Airport. That's the capital. Or well, it's the capital of the state. But the Newark Airport, the like actual terminals and stuff. So well, if you like have images of the terminals, you can see it and how it's set up. And then the SeaTac Airport, of how like you would go into the city. If you've ever been to Seattle, Washington, have you ever gone to SeaTac Airport, come into Seattle from the SeaTac Airport? It's like a 20-minute drive just going there, just highway and highway until you actually get there, because basically just a long stretch of highway, And then you finally go on your viaduct going into, well, this honestly the very small city of Seattle. So honestly, very small compared to what I thought it would be. Of course, I'm comparing it to New York City, and New York City is pretty cool in that it's pretty huge and it's pretty tall. But and also the New York City, I would say, is honestly more iconic than Seattle. But that's kind of just what I'm going based off of, considering that those are airports that I've been to recently in the past. In the recent past I've been to. More so the Newark Airport because, well, Newark is basically my home international airport. It's not my home airport because I have an airport like right where I live, although it's a private airstrip. But it's my closest to being, it's the closest international airport to me. Of course, Newark is literally right across the river from New York City, which they then have 2 airports, so there's really 3 international airports, like, all right near me. That's, I believe, JFK and another airport that I forget the name of. And then there's also Newark in there, obviously, in the mix. But, if you do have any other airports I should take reference of, or you think that I should, make sure to leave them down below in the comment section, and then I can look at some different images, see what I like, and then hopefully incorporate that into my build. And if you do want to get a little bit of a sneak peek at what I'm trying to recreate or attempt, or at least replicate in some way, and base off of, then, well, you can look up images of it on Google Maps, or even, well, just search up Newark Airport on Newark Airport terminals in, all Google search, or even, well, going to Seattle from the SeaTac Airport. You can see that drive. It's literally just highway. But that's really all I have to say about the city build. I do hope you've enjoyed. Here's a nice little, well, overview as I quickly put in another little neighborhood in. But, it's a small addition to the city, but it's definitely a good addition. But, that's really all I have to say for this episode. Do hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. But here is the final product of, well, the work in this episode. So, bye.